I read a story recently about climate change, but as I read it, I realized it wasn't so much about climate change as racism and poverty, even if the authors didn't intend it that way. And that's when you start to see this connection between climate change, racism, and poverty. It was about people fleeing the effects of climate change, but was really only about wealthy people with expensive houses in high-risk areas who sell off those houses for massive profits and escape to what they believe to be safer environments where their real estate values will continue to appreciate. You know, nature has many needs, like nature needs fire, nature needs wind, nature needs water. What nature doesn't need or respect are houses that stand in the way of nature doing its thing. So when we have floods or tornadoes or fires, there is a human toll of people who either by choice or necessity have gotten in the way, in the path of nature. Now, the poor often need to live in these high-risk areas because, ironically, they're more affordable. They have no choice. Those people are victims of the system, not nature. But overdevelopment in high-risk areas is different. That's a choice. You want a view? You want privacy? It's hubris to think you could build a grand edifice that defies nature and survive. You are merely an obstacle to nature. So if houses burn down, it's because we ignored nature. We have always felt quite wrongly that as humans, we have some sort of dominion and control over nature, despite all the evidence to the contrary. You know, not everybody can pick up and leave. When the poor are forced out of their homes because of wind or rain or fire, they have no place to go. Their homes are uninsured, they don't have the money for a new place, and they don't have the money to rebuild the old place. But when the wealthy are victims of those elements, they pick up and move to even more exclusive areas where they still believe they could beat nature. And the idea that you could escape is a fallacy. It's an illusion. You could move to a safe area and get hit by a bus, or get a disease, or the water table's poisoned, or the air is toxic. And I get it. When you've spent a lifetime getting your way, it's hard to acknowledge that you're mortal and will die. Memento mori, no matter how safe and clean your environment is. Yes, if you live in a beautiful house on the coast, it may indeed get wiped out by floods and tsunamis. If you live in a chateau amidst a lush, verdant, magical forest, your house might burn down. But people who live like that are also able to relocate or rebuild. Insurance favors the wealthy. What do people do in the tornado belt or the path of a hurricane? People who have already been struggling to find housing and schools, living paycheck to paycheck, white, black, or brown. Ask the people who work for those wealthy people, cleaning their houses, busting their dirty dishes at the fancy, expensive restaurants, picking the grapes in their vineyards. What are they supposed to do? Where are they going? And how? So maybe there are other things to worry about when it comes to climate change. Wealth disparity, racism, poverty, segregation, and the ignorance of these connections. Climate change, climate disaster is no different than war. It kills, it injures, it destroys. It forces the poor, the helpless, the powerless out of their homes, seeking shelter anywhere they can. This is the difference between the wealthy who choose to live where they want and then choose to live somewhere else that they want, and the plight of actual refugees. They have no choice. Yes, we have refugees in this country. In other countries, we refer to people forced out of their homes as refugees. Here, we derisively and judgmentally call them homeless. One irony of this mass migration of the wealthy to so-called safer environments is that their indulgence and privilege and waste and wanton squandering of precious resources will follow them there too and destroy that place. So when you ask if climate change is man-made, to me, that's not really the question. The question is, what do we do about this ever-widening disparity between the rich and the poor? Climate disaster is our war. Climate disaster is our Chernobyl. Are they the result of nature? Well, yes, in a way, because we are part of nature, not in charge of it. It's a humbling thought, but perhaps a liberating one. Nature's in charge. Nature's the boss. We work for nature.